we're set to go.
Front Porch Show.
Hello, hello, we're set to go on with the Front Porch Show. It's Dynamo.
Front Porch Show.
Magnifico.
Front Porch Show.
Dynamo, Magnifico on with the Front Porch Show. We'll have a laugh or two. Big smiles from me and you. Hello, hello.
Front Porch Show.
We're good to go.
The Front Porch Show.
Hello, hello, we're good to go on with the show. Here's Don.
Live from St. Mary's, by the Seat of Our Pants Productions is proud to present the Front Porch Show, starring John Stevens and Belle the Wonder Dog. This is Don Van Galen along with the piano man Frank StGermain, inviting you to join John and his guest, River Rock producer Sean Kemp, Canadian actress Denise Fergusson, Porteous Charles Sharun from the Station Gallery, musical guest Rooster in the Henhouse, and our regular features with Lauren Edie and Community Calendar, and another edition of Alternate Facts, all tonight on the Front Porch Show.
We'll share a laugh or two. Big smiles from me and you. Let's hear it. Hello, hello.
The Front Porch Show.
We're good to go.
The Front Porch Show.
Hello, hello. We're good to go on with the Front Porch Show.
And now, he is John! Oh, wow, it's a longer walk, John. It's more dangerous, too. We should have rehearsed this. Well, welcome, everybody, to the Front Porch Show in the most beautiful town in the universe, St. Mary's. And we have the return of Belle. And, of course, we have Kaylee here. She's always here. But, Belle, come here. Belle, come on. Get excited, Belle. Come on.
That's how we excite girls.
She is a wonder dog.
Nope.
There we go. Belle. Come on, Belle. There. Anybody got any steak? There we go. Okay.
Whoa.
And as you may know, that we have Murdoch Mysteries is coming to town next week.
Yeah,
Don's got a part, and
they actually cast John. Town drunk number 2.
It's a paying gig, too.
and we have a Stephen King church up in our midst. So we're becoming Hollywood.
Is Stephen King now a religion?
I guess so. And notice, by the way, the fancy curtains we have again this week from McBride's Wendell.
Excellent.
Just great. And as usual, I'm wearing another Salvation Army shirt. And people think I'm kidding. No, my shirts come from the Salvation Army.
What do you think, gentlemen?
The only thing I'm worried about is one day somebody at the audience is going to say, "That's my shirt." but I'm running out of shirts, extra large. So if you got some shirts at home, please send them to the Salvation Army. All the money stays in St. Mary's. There we go.
I'll have to lose some weight first, John.
Well, yeah. How many are here for the first time? Okay, Frank, we got a California girl here.
Oh, yeah? All the leaves are brown and the sky is blue.
Okay, thank you, Frank. Thank you, Frank.
Oh, thanks a lot. I'm just getting warmed up there.
And how many from out of town? Wonderful. Shout out where you're from, quickly. Where?
Wartburg.
Okay,
Wartburg.
Wartburg. Wonderful. Motherwell.
Yeah,
Oh, good.
baby.
Wonderful. All the big towns. Love it.
Stratford.
Stratford. Where?
Florida.
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 There we go.
Welland.
Welland. So, good. How many here?
Sponge cake.
How many are here for the first time? Fantastic. Hope to have you back soon, okay? We got some internet viewers. Rich Miller. Are you there, Rich?
Yes.
Are you there, Rich? Thank you. He's here. from Glendora, California. He is our Hollywood agent, and Don's got an update on that.
Yeah. Now, Rich Miller, we called him out last week and said, you're going to be our Hollywood agent, and we're going to get him to get us on the Ellen Show. Now, we're not paying him a retainer. This is all on commission, so you know he's really motivated. And actually, yeah, we got a letter from him outlining his efforts. So, obviously, he sent out an email. He sent out a regular mail. He even made some phone calls to the Warner Brothers Studios on our behalf. John, what do you think?
I think that's great.
I think we got the right guy.
And yeah, we do. And we bid it a two-edged one. Ellen can either take us down there or she can come here. What would you rather have it? She come here?
I want to go.
Okay.
I want to go.
Well, I think it'd be nice to have her here. She can have my job, right? No. Okay, we have Tony Scatella from Hamilton, our buddy Frank. Karen Searles Hornostad, and I pronounce it wrong. She's from Woodstock. David Winkler-Mori from Minneapolis, St. Paul. And my good friend Kubra Erdogan from Istanbul. And we have, and if you leave a comment on our broadcast, after the show, I'll mention it the next week. But if you leave it on during the show, we will be calling you out. And we now have a Twitter account. We have an Instagram account. Boy, we're really into social media, aren't we? Okay, thanks to Maggie. Okay, so that's about it now. Oh, Don, our tennis racket.
Ouch.
Yeah. Well, as Mr. Peter Rice has dubbed me, I am, the Roger Federer of the Front Porch Show. On steroids.
No, I
Roger Federer on steroids. That's what he said.
No, you're more like FedEx with hemorrhoids.
You aren't standing that close to make that kind of diagnosis.
Okay. Anyway, Don, I think we're going to alternate facts.
Alternate facts.
And you do have.
I've got some guests
You've
this
got some
time.
guests this week.
I've got some guests. Well, my guests like to join me down here on the front stage. Here, John, you take this. You need to practice. You had a lot of time with you last week. All right, we're going to move it out a little bit forward here, and I'm going to take the mic right off the stand so we can do a proper interview with our guests here. So I'm going to block you out here. Yeah. All right, so now we have our guests for alternate facts, and they are...
Darlene,
Darlene, where are you from, Darlene?
originally from Windsor. I live in St. Mary's now.
Excellent. That's interesting, because you know that Murdoch Mysteries was actually going to film in Windsor, and then they came to St. Mary's and started scouting it out. And
I did suggest that to them.
Yeah, you did? Excellent. I thought I had something to do with it. Anyways, and you are, ma'am?
Kathy.
Kathy, and where are you from?
Windsor.
Well, Windsor. Windsor versus Windsor X, and now St. Mary's. Okay. So, you know how this works. I've told you in advance. I'm going to tell you a story,
Right.
and it is either going to be true or it is going to be, as Donald Trump likes to say, an alternate fact. And you're going to have to determine the truth for fabulous prizes that we have back here. Some prizes that have been donated from our Ford dealership and a few other places. So, ladies and gentlemen, I have this story about St. Mary's, actually. Okay? So, most of you will know where the cemetery is right now. But prior to that, there was a cemetery located somewhat closer to the downtown on Elgin Street. And it is now a minor league ball diamond and playground, right? Those of us who grew up in St. Mary's might even remember that there was a roadway through the middle that about 20 years ago got taken out. It was scheduled to be actually reconstructed, and I can remember the time at council when we were talking about that, and we decided, no, reconstructing a road in a graveyard is probably not a good idea. So we kind of just said, no, it'll make a nice bigger park, and everyone will be much happier and undisturbed. But of course, you don't see any grave markers in that cemetery now. They were all removed. You might see some in either corner of that park. However, where did all the rest of them go? Did you ever wonder that? Well, I'm sure you may not have. You're not originally from St. Mary's, but perhaps some of you do. Well, I've got news on that. So when they removed these stones, and we're talking like the 20s, as far as they're concerned, they're just old stones, old rocks, right? So the neighbors were told, hey, if you need, to put down a sidewalk or you need a porch or something, come and take these stones. Well, fast forward to the 1960s, and a friend of mine who lives across the street from this park, his dad is digging a garden out behind the house right underneath his bedroom window. And what does he find? He digs up a gravestone. This 5-year-old kid is just, oh my God, I've been sleeping on right next to somebody's grave. There's a body buried underneath my window, and he has a lot of sleepless nights until his father does make an inquiry and finds out that no, actually it's just a stone that was taken out of the graveyard that is now a park. Do you believe me?
Yep.
Or is it in fact an alternate fact? Now, I know lots of people tend to believe me. I have that kind of a reputation in this town.
Let's not even go there.
Anyway, so I want to ask you, is this the truth or is it an alternate fact?
Alternate fact.
Alternate fact. Now, what about the story don't you believe, or is it just me?
I don't think they would ever give the graveyard sites up. They might move the graves, but they would not just discard the graveyard markers.
Okay, sounds reasonable. I think, quite frankly, it's probably what they would do today, and you think it's true.
I think that they misplaced a stone. Somebody had it face down and didn't realize what it was.
Okay, so we have true and an alternate fact. But you, ladies and gentlemen, what do you think? Is this the true story? Is that grave marker actually underneath this kid's window, or is this just an alternate fact that I've made up? Okay, I think it's leaning a little bit more on the true side than alternate facts, but as here, we have a little bit of a dispute. So I always like this because I know I'm going to have a winner when I reveal that, in fact, this is a true story. This is a true story. In fact, that house was my first house.
Oh, you were the little boy.
I was not the little boy, but it was the first house that I bought in St. Mary's, and I heard it from a former owner that this story was true. So we have a shirt for our winner over here.
From St. Mary's Ford.
From St. Mary's Ford. Is there something, what color in there you like? Or?
Yep, I'll take that.
You like the orange. Okay.
Good color.
And for our runner-up, now that you've seen, what good things happen to people from Windsor who moved to St. Mary's, we want to remind you of that and give you that St. Mary's sticker. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for helping us out today.
Okay, it's now time for our community calendar, and from our award-winning newspaper, as we found out, the St. Mary's Independent, here's Lauren E. Now, Lauren, there's a couple of things to talk about. Am I on here? There were a couple of things to talk about. One, the St. Mary's Independent is now what?
It's now full color.
Yeah, it's beautiful paper.
Looking
And
pretty slick.
there's one other bit of news, and that is that we also have...
We have a Friday edition, which is 4 pages as well.
Yeah, and where can you get it? You can get it online and mainly downtown.
Yeah, at a few select locations downtown, Tim Hortons, Stacy's Pizza, and always online.
Yeah, so that's great news. So our newspaper is getting bigger and better. I think we may go to a daily soon, I think. Hey, Stu has some really good plans.
Yeah, this is my part-time job, so let's keep it at one a week. That's great.
Okay, beautiful. And again, it won an award. We came in the top 3 newspapers in Canada for special holiday coverage of up to 10,000 people, I believe, 9,999. But we came in 3rd in the whole country for special holiday coverage for our Canada Day. So we indeed have a very good newspaper, and we're glad to have it in our town.
All right. Hi, everyone. This is this week's community calendar. Murdoch Mysteries comes to town on Tuesday for 4 days of filming scenes for season 12 of their award-winning CBC program. The town of St. Mary's is honored to have been selected for the second time to be a filming location for the show. At the same time, please keep in mind that there will be a number of service disruptions during filming, including some road closures and parking restrictions. For a full schedule, please refer to the town's website or see page 4 of the Independent. This Wednesday from 7 to 8 p.m., the St. Mary's Museum will be continuing its Melodies at the Museum Summer Concert Series, with the GGs performing right here at Cadzow Park. This week's St. Mary's Library Fun Day Friday is a Sparling Bush adventure. This is a great opportunity for kids to learn about tree, plant, and animal species in a natural and engaging environment right here in town. The 1-hour session starts at 10:30 a.m. Friday. Tickets are required and can be reserved starting at 10:30 a.m. tomorrow at sparling-bush.eventbrite.ca. And next week, we are thrilled to have St. Mary's hosting the 4th annual River Rock Festival, which gets underway on Friday at 6 p.m. at Lions Park at the Milt Dunnell Field, also known as the Flats, and continues right through to Saturday night. I can see Sean Camp, who is the event organizer, is one of our guests this week on the Front Porch Show, so I'll let him fill in the rest of the details. And that's your community calendar for August 5th. Have a great day.
Thank you, Lauren Eady from the St. Mary's Independent. See you next week, okay? Well, okay, Don, you gotta move. Our first guest has many talents, but at this time of year, we know him as the creator of River Rock. Please welcome Sean Camp. Good stuff. Yeah, we've got a bit of wind.
Little breeze here.
Little breeze here. Every little breeze seems to whisper Sean.
Okay.
Okay, get the mic nice
Can you
and
hear me?
close. Yeah.
Song, Johnny. Every little breeze seems
Okay.
to whisper.
First, Sean, welcome back on the show. You were on last year.
Thank you.
And okay, let's the obvious. Where and when is River Rock?
Okay, thanks, Lauren, for the little intro there, too. You kind of covered the times. It does start 6 p.m. Gates open at, just to clarify, it's actually Lions Park. It is technically part of Milt Dunnell Field, but it's the part not that they use for the Summerfest, but it's the part that's north of the pavilion behind the ball field. So going north towards the actual trestle bridge. So that's where the entrance will be for that date. August 10, 6 till 10 p.m. And then August 11th, we open gates 11:30 a.m. and run right through until 10 p.m. that night.
Wonderful. And for those who don't know, give us a brief history of River Rock.
Well, River Rock is definitely a labor of love, and I think I said that last year as well. It's something that's put a lot of personal energy into with assistance from my girlfriend Erin, who's always stood by and gone through my ups and downs with the stresses of putting this event on out at the property. But we did that for the first 3 years just north of town, and this year we are moving it into St. Mary's. And every year it just expands more and more and gets better and better, and keep adding things on. So it's a really great family event that we have going on here in St. Mary's. Something that's a little different than the status quo that we have every year. We have some really great international performers that come, workshops. We have great local food provided. Kids area, we have it fully licensed with craft brews, so it's a really great event.
Now, you moved it into St. Mary's this year.
Yes.
It used to be at your farm. Why did you move it in?
Well, the whole process was kind of a natural progression with this event. I started out on my property just to more or less get around the red tape that is involved when you're starting an event. Sometimes you start an event, you put it before a municipality, and they laugh in your face and just say, we don't understand, this doesn't make sense, or what about this, what about that? So I started on my property, I ran it for 3 years out there, I created a successful event that, like I said, grows every year, and now the town has taken a significant amount of interest in that, seeing that, what is possible with this, and what my efforts have put forth. So it's just a natural growth process, I think, to bring it into St. Mary's, and then that way, too, it's also more concentrated benefit to the community, I believe, in all factors.
You've expanded it to a Friday night as well.
That's right. Yeah.
And why did you do that?
Again, that's bringing back into the benefit to the community. What we're trying to do is not only bring people, of course, the people from St. Mary's, but also it's a great ambassador event. A lot of people come from outside of St. Mary's. We've had people, we do surveys every year. We have people coming from Windsor. We have people coming from Detroit, London, Brampton, Toronto, coming to this event. So having it as a Friday night and slowly making it into a 2-day event, then what will that turn into is it brings more benefit to the community fiscally as well, you know, with rooms and with people dining outside of the actual event itself and shopping outside of the event. And that's the end goal of this.
Now, you have a pretty impressive lineup. Tell me about it.
This year, yeah, we have really great lineup. We only have one return from last year. I usually try to bring one back that's been quite popular, but they're coming as a trio this year. It's called My Father's Son. We started off Friday night with a couple local bands. St. Mary's favorite party band, Cordery Gordon, of course, opens up the event on Friday night. Then we have probably one of Stratford's favorite party bands, Upside of Maybe, is falling right up on their heels. Then we have My Father's Son, and then we finish off with one of the top bluegrass acts. They're just amazing. It's the Slow Can Ramblers out of Toronto. We started up Saturday with the open mic with a lot of local bands. It's hosted by the Olivia Judge Band out of Mitchell. There'll be a lot of great performers in that. Then we start with Rick Taylor and Barry Payne and Taylor. Barry Payne, a lot of people probably know him, the String Bone from Stratford. He did all the Revival House shows. He's a big promoter himself. Rick Taylor is one of the most accomplished blues guitarists in Canada. Then we have another couple acts that are really making an impact on CBC radio, and that Libby and the Creepy Crawlies, the Lifers. We have Dead Flowers. And again, this is the first year I listened to what people wanted. There was a couple people who said, you know, what about a cover band? I'm like, no, I really like focusing on like new upcoming bands. That's my focus. And then I went to see this Dead Flowers at Hillside Music Festival in Guelph, which is a festival with the same kind of essence as this one on a lot larger level. And they just blew the place away. What they do is they do Rolling Stones from the Sticky Fingers right through the Exile Main Street period. And they have members of the Blue Rodeo. They have members of a lot of big Toronto bands. They're all in it's a super group, more or less. And they're just amazing. So you'll want to see them for sure. And then we also have, finishing off, probably the biggest blowout of all, Lemon Bucket Orchestra. If anybody has ever seen Lemon Bucket Orchestra, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you haven't seen Lemon Bucket Orchestra, please don't miss this. This is like, it's a 12-piece, and they are out of this world. So, really amazing act.
But your festival's more than music. Tell me about that side.
Certainly is. Yes. Again, we have over 20 artisan vendors on site. We also have really well hand-picked food area. So we have everything from Cully's Hill Farm, Lynn River Farms coming. We have a one from London, Rebel Remedy coming. We have Stone Town Cheese. So again, it's not, I'm not trying to knock the deep fried, French fry kind of situation, but what we try to focus on here is very fresh, very local, 100-mile diet on the food end. We also have a number of workshops this year. We've expanded that. We have everything from daisy headband making to block printing to the library involvement, the museums doing, making harmonicas. I mean, we have a lot of things going on for kids and adults alike. And we've also added a wellness portion this year. So we'll have Reiki practitioners, we have yoga practitioners, we'll have massage therapists on site. So we have a lot of things going on with this.
You know, I might go there and get a bit healthy.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Hey.
Yeah.
Now, you've gone great lengths to make it environmentally friendly, too. I think you're probably the most environmentally friendly festival in Canada.
Well, I would like to think that. There's a lot out there, and but we definitely make a really good effort to try to do that. One of the examples is this here that I have. This is a mug, and actually this mug is probably from the first year. It's still in great shape. We offer these on site as well. We try to, we do not allow water bottles on site or disposable cups. All of our providers on site, food providers, are asked to only use recyclable and compostable materials, period. And we really try to keep this down. Every year we've kept it to under a bag of garbage for over 500 people that's going to landfill. So that's a pretty good accomplishment, I think, right? So
it's a lot of work. You have a lot of people helping you. Who are some of the
key people that are helping? You mentioned Aaron.
Yes, well, I have to, yeah, for sure. Aaron's the biggest part of it, for sure. She helps me out with a lot of my media, as she does that for her for her livelihood as well. So she knows what she's doing with that. But also everything from signage and a lot of little things that I need help with. Of course, Mandy Verge designs the poster for me every year. This year she did along with her boyfriend Matt Brenner. Does a phenomenal job of that.
It's a work of art.
Yeah, and then yeah, when the week comes, of course this year not only do I have a group of hands that come in and help me the week of, but we also have the town of St. Mary's helping with some of the. Every year, a lot of people don't understand. It's not only the planning, it's not only the financing, it's the whole. It's I mean I was hammering posts and cutting trees and whippersnipping the lawn and everything the days leading up to the festival, and also then after the festival's done, tearing all that down again. This year, the town of St. Mary's has been helping with fencing and that, so they've been a big supporter.
Okay, so I want to go to the festival. I'm in town. How do I get in? How do I get tickets? How do I get that? And if I'm out of town, what do I have to do?
Okay, in St. Mary's itself, we have 2 locations. One being the Pass It On. And again, I think we should bring that in with the filming being done this week. Pass it on. I think you have to do backdoor access because like Water Street's going to be closed. So Carrie will be happy to help you out with that. Snapping Turtle Coffee Roasters. They'll also be on site of River Rock, but they also are a ticket retailer in town. For those in Stratford, Black Swan Brewing has your tickets. We also online, riverrockfestival.rocks has all the tickets. Not only weekend passes, but day passes for Saturday or Friday night if you can't make it for the weekend.
And if you're from out of town, let's say you come from Toronto or Hamilton or somewhere out of town, how do we get a ticket to get in?
Okay, as far as that online, riverrockfestival.rocks would be your pre-sale. If you're just coming for the day, there's probably a good chance we'll still have some gate sale tickets for that. But I mean, I'd recommend getting them online just in case, because this will be a big week for ticket sales for sure. So,
Sean, best of luck.
Well, thank you.
And thanks for coming in.
Hope to see everybody.
Okay. And we're going to our first commercial break. Don, tell us about it.
Yeah, before we go, I just want to mention that Rick Miller is watching from Glendale, California.
Oh, he's
So
live.
he's back on the job.
Okay.
You get it, Rick. Ann Winkler from Maury, Minnesota. That's a fair stretch, too. Yeah, and Tony Scatella again says hello. Karen Partridge from Listowel, way up north. And at Mandigo says hello. And Carolyn Mills says, great job, John. I mean, I don't know what we are doing wrong, Frank. I mean, nobody ever says great job.
Personal friends, Don. That's what it is.
Well, I don't have any personal friends. Anyways, but you know, we've been talking about dressing up the set a little bit, you know, making it look a little prettier.
Raj has done a great job of helping us.
Yeah, I was just thinking maybe the guys from Pathway Woodworking could help us out.
There
What do
we
you
go.
think?
Let's hear it.
Thanks, Don. Don Grant, Pathway Woodworking. Front Porch Show was gracious enough to let me be here last year, and thanks to their millions and millions and millions of viewers, we have so much work that we can't keep up to it. So tonight I'm not trying to sell product. Instead I'm going to mention we've had a couple students working for us for the summer. We lose them in a couple weeks. In another week we're going to be having an ad in the Independent looking for some help. We're looking for a person or two that's energetic, that's comfortable around machinery, wouldn't mind working in a fast-paced production environment. We're a fun place to work. We're a shop out across from the Mennonite Church on the Mitchell Road. Anybody that's interested or knows anybody or sees our ad in the paper, be happy if you gave them our name. That's my spiel. Earlier today, Linda put a mark on a stone back there. She put a PW for Pathway Woodworking. Person sitting next to it gets a butcher's lot. Oh, and some oil for it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, our next guest is Denise Fergusson, and she's had a long, distinguished career in the theater that just doesn't know when to stop. Denise, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I get up, but it's difficult getting out of this chair.
Yeah. I have my acting hat on here today. Usually I wear my fitness shirt in St. Mary's.
Yes, I fortunately have not been part of one of your things. I am not Mr. Fitness. Okay, so tell me, where does your story start?
Well, I was actually born in Hamilton, and I admit it. And I lived there until I was 7. I moved to Leaside briefly, went up to Timmins, which was the bad influence on my life. I loved being in Timmins. And after that, it was Toronto, the world. Went off to Europe and never stopped. And I've been all over the place ever since then.
And how many years has that been?
Are you asking professionally?
Yeah.
Okay. 57 years.
And still going.
I'm still going, yeah. But if you count England, it's actually 58 years.
58 years.
Yeah.
And what gave you the bug to start acting?
I don't know. It was probably always in there. I didn't think I was going to be an actress, but everybody kept pushing me into it. You know, it was like, oh, you can be an actor, and I got pushed into it. And but my first appearance that might have made a difference was I was 2.5, and my grandmother had sent me this beautiful kilt from Scotland, right? And I was so proud of it, and I remember it so clearly. And my father was pipe band major, drum major, right? And there was a Scottish night at the Masonic Hall. And the pipers were playing away, and the dancers were dancing away. My mother was sitting there, and all of a sudden, she saw this rear end, my knickers showing as I was climbing up onto the stage. I did a Highland fling, much to the dismay of my mother and probably the dancers, because I got all the attention with my Shirley Temple curls bouncing. And maybe that was the taste of theater, I don't know.
And your first job acting? Paid job?
My first paid job, well, that's not counting singing. I had a radio show.
Oh, really?
Yeah, called Date with Denise and CKGB. I'm not a very good singer, but...
Did you get many dates with Denise?
Well, I did okay. I got $15 a week for that. I thought that was a lot of money because I was working at Marshall Ecclestone Hardware when I graduated from high school and making $20 a week and passing it in for room and board and getting an allowance back, because that's what we did in those days, right? But I guess the first paid job I had was not union, but they allowed me while I was at Carnegie to work professionally at the Pittsburgh Playhouse to put my, that's where I was getting money.
When you say Carnegie, you mean Carnegie Mellon?
I was Carnegie Mellon, which was Carnegie Tech then.
Yeah.
And I actually didn't do many shows at Carnegie. I worked professionally, and they gave me the acting credit for that. Then after that, it was Bristol.
Right, Bristol, England.
Yeah, Bristol Old Vic.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And your acting is taking you many places. Name
Yep.
some of them. Or all of them.
5 countries.
Yeah. Which ones?
5 countries, mainly Canada, a lot of U.S. I toured Japan for 3 months. I was in Parma, Italy, and of course the UK. So that's 5, isn't it? That's 5. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And tell me about some of your favorite roles you've done.
You know, every role an actor does is their favorite role. You have to realize that. And usually the last one is your favorite. But I think some stand out, probably because of the circumstances or because of scary things that happen that is in your mind. For example, when I did Dark of the Moon at Arena Stage in Washington, I was the Fair Witch. And I had to crawl up, it's an arena, right? And I had to go along this set, way up over the rafters, hang by my knees without a guide rope. I'm terrified of heights, And I had to say, "Witch boy, you tired of the moonlight?" And then get up from there, and I was in total terror. I was fine when I was hanging down. Then I thought, I can't get up. How am I going to get up? But I somehow managed to. But I remember that one very well. But things like Masha and Three Sisters at Longworth Theatre, and my years at Stratford, which were wonderful.
How many years were you at Stratford?
7.
Mm-hmm.
Midsummer Night's Dream, Helena, was my dream when I went to theatre school. My dream was to be on the Stratford stage, center stage, saying how happy some or other some can be. And I realized my dream. I played Helena 3 times, and I've directed the show 3 times. So I've had it now with Midsummer Night's Dream.
Now you say your last role is always your favorite.
Usually.
You haven't seen me act.
No, I haven't seen your last role. I'm talking about my last role.
All my roles are forgettable.
Yeah.
Okay. Any amusing what some amusing moments on the stage? There's always some.
Well, you know, you can write a book on things that happen on the stage, but I think one that the one that comes to mind. I was doing Miss Alliance at Arena Stage in Washington, and I was Lina Szczepanowska, the Polish aviatrix, right? So I was sort of upstage. sort of out of the scene at the moment because I was investigating the place. And Robert Milley, who was the other aviator that came in, was very worried about his English accent. And he came on stage, and he had been teasing our leading lady who had gotten rather plump over the summer. So she'd put on a little bit of weight. And he'd been teasing her, and he was supposed to say, Patsy fascinates me, and I apparently fascinate Patsy. But instead he said, Patsy fascinates me, and I apparently, and terror went around his face. He said, fascinate Patsy? Well, the whole cast fell apart. I was up, I could turn my back, because I pride myself on never having broken up on stage. I had to turn my back. I turned around and I went, and the audience got the joke and everybody laughed and it was very funny. The funniest part was the next night, where he came out, terror on his face when he got to that part. We all looked the opposite direction. He said it properly, and then we all started to laugh and the audience didn't have a clue. Didn't have a clue. So that was one of the funny things that happened.
Now you do more than just acting, though. You do a couple of other things, or a few other things. Tell me about some of them quickly.
I do a lot of volunteer work, and but in the business, I'm a director as well, have been, and associate professor at Memorial University. I've taught in theater schools, university drama schools right across the country. Usually when I'm there, I direct a play as well. So I've been responsible. I taught somebody from Murdoch Mysteries.
Really, who?
Johnny Harris was my student.
Okay, and what
I
was he
always
like?
knew he was going to be something. He was
Really?
lazy, but he was really going to be something. He was really lazy, and I kept on calling him on it. He would sleep in. Oh, I shouldn't tell this. Oh, he won't be.
No, do
Can
tell
I tell?
it.
Oh, I can
Please,
tell.
please. He's not watching this.
He's going to be really mad at me. But he just couldn't get up in the morning. So we were going to have to drop him from the course because he had missed, was missing and coming in late. So I grabbed him behind the garbage dumpster and I said, this is what you're going to do with your life, And I said, Johnny, charm is not enough. I was wrong. I was wrong. Charm is enough in the business. And then I came back and I sat him down in a chair. I said, okay, class, we've got a problem. How are we going to deal with this? So they organized a team, because he lived in the dorm. They would go, they would wake him up, they would make sure he was still sitting, they would bring him coffee, they would get him to class, and then I allowed the whole class to have coffee and bring in breakfast because most of them were just running into class. It was a stupid thing to have actors at 9:30 in the morning during an acting class anyway.
Okay, why'd you settle in St. Mary's?
Because I fell in love with it,
Like all of us, I think.
and I'm still in love with it. Yeah.
So, where do you go from here?
Well, I've got a few things in the wind. I'm going to be teaching dialects to the company at Embro, giving them a Scottish accent, a Highland accent.
Like what?
I'll be teaching them Brigadoon, the Scottish accent, but it'll be Highland, which is not like Glasgow.
What's
it's much
Glasgow like?
softer. I won't go into that one. I can do it, but I don't want to go into it.
Okay, well, thank you for coming in here,
Yeah.
and pleasure to have you on the show.
Okay.
We're now going to go to another commercial. Don, tell us about it.
So we were talking earlier about our friends. Oh wow! Well, I think Belle, the Wonder Dog, is having just a great time here.
I think I want to take her place.
I don't know that we could allow that, Frank. It just might be a little bit on the risque side. But anyway, we earlier we had some woodworkers out here. I think they left a little bit of extra lumber around. Maybe our friends from Thompson Karate can make use of it. I don't know. Can you?
You probably will. I think so. These guys are going to do a little bit of a demonstration here for us. Throw some blocks for us. Go ahead, guys. Keep it at you. They're going to run through a few blocks. I'm going to talk. We've moved locations. We're now located at 115 Queen Street East. We're downtown, just between Sunrays and the Cheese Shop. So invite everybody to come see our new spot. come out, try a class. The first one's always free, so I'd like to see some new faces out to see the new location. Yeah, I'm going to run through a couple kicks, and then they're going to break a board.
We can break
here.
Ron's cutting board. Who wants to go first?
Okay.
Am I in the way now?
That's good. Who wants to start? You want to start us off, Glenn?
Fine, I'll go first.
He's going to line it up 3 times, and then he's going to go right through it. Oh. He's got to go right through it. There we go.
Here we go.
Line it up, go right through.
Okay. Don, do you want to try that? No.
With my
No. Yeah, we got insurance. We have insurance here.
Also got a t-shirt to give away. Gonna just go for the first shout out. Whoever can shout out nice and loud, any martial arts movie.
Any martial arts movie.
Oh. Okay.
That's terrible.
Does anyone have an actual movie?
You're crazy people here.
I think she was. Someone was first back there. What he shout out? Karate Kid. Okay.
Okay, there we go.
And that's it for us. Thanks for
Okay,
having us on.
thank you. Okay, turn back here. Hi, everybody. Okay, what do you do with a train station? That's really, most of it's not being used. Well, our next 2 guests had a vision, and they now have a story to tell. Here's Cameron Porteous and Charles Sharun.
I hear that train a-comin', it's rolling around the bend.
Who wants to come near me? Okay.
I'm not afraid.
Okay, well, you should be. Okay. Well, we'll start with Cameron. I looked at these guys' biographies, and we could be here all night. We're not going to be.
Please.
But your biographer, Cameron, says you're a scenographer. I have no idea what that is. Tell us about it.
Well, it's a new terminology. It started in the 60s in Europe, in Czechoslovakia, by a designer by the name of Joseph Svoboda. He came up with new types of theater, which is basically theater using technology. And of course, the implication is choreography, in other words, choreographing scenery. So that's where the term scenography came from. But it's more than that. It actually is about single vision. The best scenographers I know of in this country are costume designers who can design costumes and scenery as a single vision working with the director. And that's basically why I've changed my term from designer to scenographer, because that's what I do.
I have no idea what you're talking about. What does it mean, scenery and costumes going together? I really don't understand.
Well, it is the concept of a production, whatever it is, the time frame, the location, and everything. The scenery is basically what Svoboda was attempting to do, was to with the set, let's say, or with the scenery and how it moved with the production. It was people were seeing what words were not being said.
Gotcha.
In other words, that was basically the essence of it.
So what were some of the highlights of your career? I know you worked several places.
Well, like Denise, all the shows are pretty special. In fact, I dressed Denise on numerous occasions, darling, yes. I would have to say that I have 2 productions that stand out in my mind, and one was the cavalcade, Noel Coward's cavalcade of the Shaw Festival. It ran forever. There was over 200 costumes that were designed, and there were enough sets to keep things going for hours. So that's one. The other was Heath Lambert's and Marty Meriden in the Cyrano de Bergerac who did that. Yeah.
Great. Now, Charles, your resume isn't too shabby. Get closer to the mic a bit and tell us about it.
Well, I think, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we're there.
Yeah, now we can.
Thank you. I'm always a little shy, so I'm just going to read it, and that way it won't take 20 minutes.
20 minutes? No.
No, it won't.
Okay.
Okay. Basically, I've been making art since I was about 8 years old, encouraged by my teachers. I grew up in Thunder Bay, and we of our generation either went west or east. I moved to Toronto and studied art at the Ontario College of Art, then UWO in London, Ontario, and finally received a BFA at what is now Concordia University in Montreal. Fascinating city, Montreal.
BFA, Bachelor of Fine Arts.
That's it. Well, actually it was an honors, but I won't go into
Okay.
that. I returned to London and continued in my studio to produce art, having yearly shows in the area. In order to pay for the rent, I had to work in many different professions. I think I've had 8 separate professions in my life. Most artists have to figure out how to make a living one way or the other. In order to pay the rent, I worked basically 6 months on, 6 months off. I moved back to Toronto after I did a teacher's degree, and I taught high school art because I was really fascinated with teaching, and I think it was one of the most interesting things I did. But like a lot of things, it changed. And I got involved in amateur theater with the Alumni Theater, which is a women's theater in Toronto that goes back over 100 years. Fascinating. I was encouraged again, and I decided to quit teaching, and I moved to Bristol, England. And I attended the Bristol Vic Theatre School. I stayed another 2 years as a scenic painter at the Bristol Vic Theatre Royal. When I had to move back to Canada because my visa was up, I found work as an assistant scenic painter at the Canadian Opera Company. That was wonderful. That was just amazing. I also was designing and producing exhibits for a variety of clients. Metro Zoo is one of my repeat customers. I moved into being a scenic painter in films with the Film Union, IATSE. After 30 years, which is a long time, I finally was able to retire, and my wife Allison, who's also an artist, quite an amazing artist, we moved to St. Mary's in 2015, and we continue to do our talent, and it's keeping us alive and healthy.
Mm-hmm. Now, did you know him before you moved to St. Mary's?
I knew of him.
You knew of him. Well, how did you get together then and open up this station gallery?
Well, it really all started at one of the Wednesday morning men's breakfast situation. I joined that with Herman Vinizal, who asked me to come and join that. So I did, and I walked in one day and sat down, and there was Charles Sharun sitting beside me in reed needles, and they were talking to me about the railway station. Would I be interested in buying or renting a studio in there, that the spaces had come up. So we said, sure, I would, and went and had a look at it. So that's how I met Charles, and that's how we started. He was in one studio, I was in another, and then it developed from there. Was like, what can we do with the space? And we decided that maybe we'd try an art gallery. See if they're popular.
You've had some pretty impressive expositions there too. I think everyone has been exceptional.
Well, there have been, the variety of stuff that's been put out there is quite interesting, but Cameron's primarily the curator, and he's basically the person that developed it. I moved out of the studio about 2 years ago, but he pulls me in every time he needs to have the place repainted or hung.
Yeah. Well, my house needs painting. Can I?
Sure,
okay,
sure.
Great.
If you can afford me, I'd love
well,
to.
no, that's the problem, I think.
Can you answer the question?
What was the question?
The question is,
can you afford him?
Can I afford him? No, I can't. I know I can't. You have to tailor your exhibitions to the space, though. It's a bit limited.
Yeah. At first it was very challenging, and I had heard stories that other people had looked at it as an exhibition site, and it was impossible due to the architecture of the building. Plus the fact that the gallery or the station is a heritage space, you know, and you don't muck about with that stuff. So I've been doing exhibitions in Europe and in Canada for years, for theater exhibitions, so I had a pretty good idea what to do, which is do floating walls, in other words, standalone gallery, and that's what we ended up doing to start with. And we started small, although we did too many exhibitions the first year. We did 12, and that damn near killed us.
Okay. Right now you got character sketches by Christina Paduvia.
Yeah.
And how'd you get that?
Well,
good story.
Yeah, good. Well, Christina is an old friend of mine. I've known her for years. When I was head of design at the Shaw Festival, which I had for many decades there, I hired her to come and do a show at the Royal George Theatre, and that's how I got to know her. And she is a phenomenal designer, but she would never exhibit. I tried to take her to Prague when I curated the Canadian exhibition in the Czech Republic. And she wouldn't go. She wouldn't do it. And when I did the World Stage exhibition in Toronto, she would not exhibit. So this time I said to her, you've got to exhibit. And she said no. So her husband and I ganged up on her. And she said, I will only do it if I can exhibit the production, because not just the drawing. So we said, fine. And what came out of it was just phenomenal.
It is.
It's
it is.
phenomenal.
If you haven't been there, you really got to go there. When can you go to the gallery?
You can go anytime except Monday, and we're open from 11 until 4:30, and we're now Tuesday till Sunday in the summer. So you've got to go quickly, because we are holding the exhibition over for 1 week.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't got my dates on me, but it's the 18th. Yeah, the 18th.
And you have some future ones exhibit coming up.
Yeah. Well, we have our dear friend Peter Rice. Peter Allen Rice is coming in with his exhibition, which is absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
And the posters are done. I've got some cards and things here to hand out to people if they want.
And they can get them after the show if they want.
Yeah, I pick them up. Okay. Absolutely. I'm not going to run around now.
If you want to support the gallery, what are some ways people can do it, financially and also with help?
Well, with help is great. That's one of the biggest problems. Is I started a thing called the Friend of the Gallery, and there's a couple of friends who are here actually in this group tonight, and they're very important to help out. Manning the gallery for those hours, the security, for example, of the gallery for those hours means that I don't get a day off ever. So now with the Friends of the Gallery coming on board, I can get a day off here and there. But I have to admit one thing, and that is that to work at the station with the Via Rail assistants there, the town's Via Rail girls and boys, is wonderful. I call it a hand-in-glove situation. It could not be a better deal. And the Via attendants have been so supportive, incredibly supportive, and have very much, they changed their badge from the town Via to the Friend of the Gallery, and they're wonderful.
I'd just like to add one other very important factor. The town of St. Mary's has given a grant to the gallery,
right,
which supplies all of the costs, almost all of the costs. So Cameron has, and the Friends of the Gallery have a budget, and it was the town who initially, I think there were members in the council who weren't that interested in it, but because of trying to save the station so the trains keep coming through, they wanted something to be there. And now that with the gallery, it's a big draw. I mean, we had over 120 people at the opening for Christine's show.
Wonderful.
And now the town gives a regular grant, and they're giving us the support.
The one thing to bring up is the fact that on our first year of operation, we had about 1,400 signatures in the guest book. And that's the people who signed. Today, I just totaled up before we came down here, 1,290 signatures. I'll hit 1,300, and we're not even halfway through.
Great. Okay, well, thank you for dropping in. And if you haven't been to the Station Gallery, please drop in soon for this exposition. It's closing soon, but also the ones in the future. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you very much.
Come on, sit down for 2 seconds. Well, I'd introduce the next band, okay? Musical talent is something that St. Mary's is known for now and in the future. Well, this band has gone pretty far already. On our stage now is Rooster in the Henhouse.
See the sun shining through the clouds and it disappears again. Feel the wind over the ocean and lift me up again. Nothing how free I am without you, without you. Then you kept me in chains all my life, now I'm without you. goodbye to you. I said 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 goodbye to you. Said goodbye to you. I 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 said goodbye to you. I'm stronger than before. Stop! See the sun shining through the clouds and it disappears again. Feel the wind over the ocean and lift me up again. See the sun shining through the clouds and it disappears again. Feel the wind over the ocean and lift me up again. See the sun shining through the clouds and it disappears again. Hey, hey, hey.
Okay, welcome to the Front Porch Show. Okay, who's the rooster here? In the back, okay. That means you're the hens, right? Okay, how old are you?
I'm 13.
13?
I'm turning 13 next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday?
I'm 13.
And at the back, shout it out.
15.
15? Oh, you're the old one in the group. Okay. How'd you come up with the band name?
Well, we started and then we were looking for a name and we were all suggesting names and then my mom came up with Rooster in the Henhouse.
Okay, let's hear it for Mom. And how'd you four get together and how long have you been together?
We've been together for 3.5 months now.
3.5 months?
Yeah.
Go on.
Years. I keep saying that. And me and Lauren wanted to start a band, so we talked to Rob, and then we got Emily and Will, and then we just became a band.
It's gone from there. So you've been together for 3.5 years as a band?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, most musicians at your age are doing covers. You're writing some of your original songs, right?
Mhm.
Was that an original?
Yes, that was our first original that we've written.
That wasn't a cover.
Nope.
Amazing. So who's the songwriter?
We all contribute into writing our songs.
And why write songs rather than just doing covers? Because a lot of young bands, that's what they do, but you write your own stuff. What's the motivation?
Well, we've been together for quite some time now, and we've been doing a lot of covers. So we decided, actually, Olivia, the one day, was doing a chord progression, and it was a really cool chord progression. So I came up with the melody, and we just went from there, and we wrote our first original song.
Wow, it's amazing. Amazing. It fooled me. Wonderful. How much of material that you do is original?
We have, unfortunately, only 2 original songs, but we'd like to keep expanding from there.
Right. And what are some of the venues you played? You played the Front Porch Show.
Yeah.
Which, of course, is the highlight of your career, right?
Yes.
But where else have you played?
We support a lot of local festivals, and we've done the St. Mary's Ringette Wing Night and the Heritage Festival, Baseball Hall of Fame.
Well, I think you're going to go far beyond that, I tell you. It's just great. Are you recording any of your music?
No, not at the moment, but we'd like to very soon.
Yeah, and I think, okay, when you do, make sure you get on something like St. Mary's Life and other places to make sure people know how to get a hold of it, okay? What's your goal for making music?
To really write songs about specific themes and places and find our own kind of genre of music and theme we like to write about.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, you've got a couple more songs for us. And then after the show's over, everybody, hang around. They're going to play after the show's over, too. But what are the next 2 songs going to be?
So the very next song we are going to do is another original that we've written, and Rob really challenged us to write a song about a specific theme and place, and we chose Paris, and that's also the name of the next song.
Paris Friends.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, wonderful. Thank you. Rooster in the Henhouse.
1, 2, 3, 4.
thing, I forgot to have you introduce yourself. So what's your name?
My name's Olivia McClellan.
And McClellan?
My name is Lauren Partridge.
Partridge.
My name is Emily McCurdy.
Okay, and in the back?
My name's William Gozzard.
William Guzzard. Okay, thank you. Next number, please.
So this next song is our take on an original and classic rock song.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Just a small town girl living in a lonely world. She took a midnight train going anywhere. Just a city boy, born and raised in South Detroit. He took the midnight train going anywhere. A singer in a smoky room, smelling and cheap perfume. For his messenger, the night it goes on and on and on and on. Up and down the boulevard, their shadows searching in the night. Three lights of people, we're living just a fine emotion, hiding somewhere in the night. Working hard to get my fill. Everybody wants a thrill, paying anything to roll the dice one more time. Some will win, some will lose. Some are born to sing the blues. Well, the movie never ends. It goes on and on and on and on. Up and down the boulevard, their shadows searching in the night. Three lights of people, we're living just a fine emotion, hiding somewhere in the night. Don't stop believing. Hold on to that feeling. Streetlights and people. Whoa. Don't stop believing. Hold on to that feeling. Streetlights, people. Whoa. Don't stop believing. Hold on to that feeling. Streetlights, people. Don't stop believing. Hold on to that feeling. Streetlights and people. Don't stop.
Okay. Wow. Just wow backwards, wow upside down mum. Anyways, thank you, Kat. Yeah, that was a good joke, wasn't it?
I laughed.
Nobody else did.
Yeah, well, that's what you pay me for.
Okay, I guess so.
Hey, you see the dog in the hen
Belle,
house?
Belle,
Dog in the hen house?
Belle is becoming a star. There she is over there, and Kaylee just zonks out and shows her rear end to the audience. But what can I say? Thank you, Cadzow Park audience, and those watching live on the internet. We'd also like to thank our guest Sean Kemp, Denise Fergusson, Porteous and Charles Sharun, and our musical guest Rooster in the Henhouse. Join us next Sunday in Cadzow Park live at 7 p.m. Eastern Time for episode 7 of the Front Porch Show. Next show's guests are Scott Crawford from the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame, director Terry Todd, and Oriana Broadbeck, owner of Bell, to talk about her recent trip to visit the gorillas in Africa. Our musical guests are the Honeys CA. Good night, everyone. Frank, take us home.
Okay, just before I take you home, go ahead. Here we go. Here we go. Boom. Johnny, you blew it. Okay, some friends of mine, friends of St. Mary's, friends of Frank StGermain, friends of the Front Porch Show, friends and neighbors, all out in the audience. Did you have a good time tonight, or just me? Okay. Stand a place to grow from Pickle Lake to Point Lake. No place I'd rather be than my hometown they call Stonetown. Freest town for miles around. Little falls like people share smile. Treat you like family. Here we go. my home, St. Mary's home. God bless you. Thanks for coming to the Front Porch Show.